Well, hello, everybody. It's great to be together again. Welcome to the call. We will be having energy work taking place during the entire hour that we're together. And I'd like to just briefly explain that. I know many of you are already familiar with how the energy works for each individual. And for those of you who are new, this energy comes directly from Source through and is broadcast to you right along with the words that are being shared. And you can participate in receiving the transformation that this energy offers simply by knowing in your heart or in your mind that you would like the assistance from this energy from Source. If for any reason you're not sure that you'd like to have this energy help you, or you want to just listen to the information, that's just fine also. The energy is highly respectful and will just go right on around you. What the energy is assisting you with is helping to transform your life into something that is much more magnificent and wonderful and joyful and healthy. And so it's to accelerate each person, you individually, on your own path. So there's the opportunity then to be assisted on an individual level by this energy from Source. And many people find that their life begins to change quite rapidly in wonderful ways as you listen to this particular broadcast or recordings from other broadcasts and allow the energy then to begin to assist you. So that being said, the energy will be coming through throughout this entire time that we're together. And it will assist in any ways in which you individually might be limited or in any way held back from the most magnificent and full expression of who you really are, which is that divine being. So this energy begins to help let go of or release or clear any ways in which you might enjoy having greater expression of you in your personality, in your divinity, in your creativity, in your life, in your relationships, in your abundance, in your prosperity, in all aspects. That's what the energy is here to assist with. We're all here to have life and to have it abundantly. And each one of us has gifts that we bring to life. Each one of us has been endowed with very special abilities and gifts from the divine. And all of life incorporates divinity. So some people ask about, spiritual things are the gifts, and then everything else is just kind of worldly. And that's a little bit of a dualistic view of the divine. And the way that I view the divine is more in oneness, which has to do with everything is divine. So those abilities that some people may have to be a great musician or a singer or an artist, or perhaps a spiritual leader, or maybe an energy worker, or a surgeon, or a secretary, or a great parent, or a teacher, all of those are gifts from the divine, and all of them are wonderful, wonderful skills to have. So there isn't one particular skill that is more divine or more godly or more connected with Source. They're all of the abilities, all of the skills, all of who we are individually is connected with Source and from Source, and is a divine gift to each one of us to use and express and develop and enjoy in our lifetimes. And so that's what we do. And we are all being blessed by the divine in very similar ways, meaning we all have many gifts. We all have many talents and skills. And they are all divine gifts, all from Source, all divine gifts. And so it's not just those which would be traditionally looked at as a spiritual gift or a healing gift that comes from the divine. All gifts come from the divine. And that's a more of a oneness view of life rather than the duality, which would be saying some things are spiritual and some things are worldly. And so, in my view, all of it is spiritual. All of it is divine. All of it is a great gift from Source. And it's here to use. It's here for each one of us to enjoy and develop and begin to create a magnificent life here for ourselves. And so when we begin to look at life in a more holistic or oneness point of view, we begin to appreciate more deeply all that is around us. And we begin then to incorporate more and more a life into our view of divinity. So a tree is divine, and an animal is divine, and the mountains are divine, and humans are divine. So the oneness view begins to incorporate more and more and more of life. And when this happens, our consciousness begins to expand. That means that we as an individual, as a personality, begin to understand and participate differently in life than someone who has a more dualistic view, meaning some things are spiritual, some things are material. That's dualism. The good and bad, the heaven and the earth, those kinds of separations. And as we begin to expand our awareness, we start to move into more and more incorporation of everything into this oneness view of divinity. Everything starts moving into a greater picture, greater perfection, greater understanding of what's taking place in life. So as we grow in consciousness, we begin to have a bigger picture about life, which means we begin to really understand and judge less the things that are taking place in our lives and in the world around us. So we tend to judge less. And in fact, as our consciousness grows, we judge less and less. We each have what I call a personal vibration. And I think it's very helpful to understand a little bit about personal vibration, because Source is 100% available to each one of us all the time. 100%. Source is here, completely available to each one of us 100% of the time. And when I say available to us, I mean we could be fully, consciously, 100% of our time available of divinity, because that is how available divinity is to each one of us, 100%. So we could be fully conscious of that. And because of our personal vibration, we adjust how aware we are of this divinity and its influence in our lives. Now, personal vibration is composed of a variety of things. It's composed of our thoughts, of our activities, of our beliefs. It's composed of the experiences that we've been through in life and how we view those experiences. It's also composed of our expectations about ourselves and about life. So all of this begins to come together, kind of like all mixed together, to create our personal vibration. And as our personal vibration goes up, we have a different view of life. We have a view of life that is more inclusive. We begin to trust what's taking place in life. We begin to recognize the divinity and the divine plan that's unfolding in our life and in the lives of those around us. So we begin to become more joyful and more free and more playful and spontaneous. We begin to live life in a more higher point of gratitude. So gratitude is an ongoing experience as our personal vibration goes up. When our personal vibration is lower, that means that we have more challenges in life that are difficult for us. We view the events of life as challenges which are difficult. for us. And that means that we have less trust, or we feel less safety, or we feel the need to control things more in our own lives. And that has to do with our personal vibration. So we may have more concerns or worries or fears going on, and each one of those experiences, like concern or worry or fear, has its own vibrational level. And so when we are worried about something, our vibration is lower. When we are in joy and gratitude and trust and happiness and safety, then our vibration goes up. And our vibration can change quite a bit. In fact, a great deal within even a few minutes, depending on what we're doing internally, in our internal kingdom, in our thoughts and in our beliefs and in our expectations. We can very rapidly move our personal vibration up or down simply by what's going on inside of us. So you can have a pretty clear idea of what's taking place inside of you by what life is like for you right now in this moment. What would you say is your pervasive or your ongoing sense of things? So is it one of trust and safety, or is it joyful? Is it concern or worry? Do you feel uplifted and buoyant right now, alive and happy and joyful? Or do you feel a little bit suppressed or concerned or worried? Those can be the ways in which you can recognize what is taking place in your personal vibration. The more uplifted, the more joyful, the more peace, the more harmony, the more contentment, the more compassion, all of that is very high frequency. And the more concern or worry or stress that you have going on, all of that is lower frequency. And the good news is that each one of us has the opportunity to adjust our own personal vibration and experience more of our personal connection with divinity. Now remember, divinity, divine, source, is 100% here, available to each one of us all of the time, 100%. And it is by our own ability to experience that through our consciousness and through our personal vibration that we begin to experience more of that divinity available. So when you feel very divinely guided, when you feel trusting and safe, when you feel like you are buoyant and carried and guided, then you can experience much more of your connection to Source. And this is a normal process that we're going through. All of us are going through. So each person right now has your own individual personal vibrational level, and that personal vibrational level determines how much you experience of your connection to Source. Now the connection is there 100%, and your personal vibration determines how much of that 100% you are actually able to consciously experience. So the goal is to continue to raise our personal vibration by focusing our thoughts, by focusing our activities, by beginning to change our beliefs in such a way that we can live life a little bit differently. Now, I think you all have a pretty good idea what I'm talking about right now. And remember, the energy is going throughout this whole time. The energy is moving right now to assist each individual who would like to have assistance to begin to raise your personal vibration, to begin to shift your beliefs, begin to adjust the ways in which you think about life, or the ways in which your thoughts run through your head and you engage with them. So the energy is here right now assisting each person to begin to take charge and change your life in a way that can raise your personal vibration. And that's our joy, and that's our responsibility, and that's our opportunity. So all of this is here right now. I mean, right in this moment, all of this is here for each one of us. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what's happened to you in your life. It doesn't matter what you've done in your life that you thought was terrible or wonderful. It doesn't matter what's happened to you in your life that you thought was terrible or wonderful. None of that makes any difference. The only thing that matters is how is it that we hold all of that. Are we judging? Are we blaming? Are we accusing? Do we feel guilt or shame or regret or anger or rage or revenge? What is our response to what's happened in our life and to the things that we've done? And that is what is determining our personal vibration. So each person right now has the opportunity to do something differently, to begin to forgive or let go of. It's the same idea. When we forgive something, we have decided to let go of it, meaning we're no longer allowing it to influence who we are in our life. So we don't have to drag that with us anymore. So forgiveness is really an opportunity to uplift ourselves and to have a great life despite what's happened to us. And this is the way that we can begin to move ourselves into higher vibration. Now, most of us have had the experience at some point in our life of feeling like a victim, like things have happened to us in our life that we felt were not fair or shouldn't have happened or were not our responsibility, or what we feel that has really changed our life and we wish it hadn't. We didn't like the ways it changed us or changed our life. Most of us have had the experiences of being what's called a victim. And we can witness and experience our own victimness when we notice we're complaining about something and unhappy about it and feel like we are powerless to do anything with it. Those are some of the ways in which we can recognize when we are being a victim of life, when in fact we can shift all of that. Now, we all know that if something happens in our life that we don't like, there are the facts of what happened, and then there is our evaluation of what that means to us and means to our life. So we have two things going on. We have the facts of the event, what actually took place, and then we have our evaluation of the event and what that means to us in our life. And that's generally based on we like it or we don't like it. And we are unable to do much about the facts of the event that has already taken place. We're unable to do much about that. However, what we can change is our evaluation of what that event means to our life. And these can be very small events. These can be very large events. And the way that we can go about changing our evaluation of what an event means to our life, meaning how that event influences our personal vibration. So the way we can go about changing how a particular event influences our personal vibration is by going back and remembering that particular event and doing our best to begin to find the benefit that was a result of that particular event. What was the good that came out of it? What happened in our life that was actually something that we appreciate or that we enjoy or that we can hold on to and be grateful for? So by going back to these events and reviewing them now from a more mature place, from a place where you have survived and you have moved on and you have learned a lot from those events, you can now look back at them a little bit differently. And you can evaluate them then in a way where you can find something to be grateful for. Even if it's the fact that the event is over, or perhaps it's the fact that you know what it's like to go through something like that and you can now have compassion for someone else who's going through it. Or you can now begin to support someone else who might be going through something similar, even if that's the point of gratitude that you can find. Or maybe you know for sure that that's something you never want to have to go through again in your life. You can be grateful that you now know that about this particular event. And most of you know my story, and I've been through some tough moments in life. And I've learned that what we need to do is to find a way to take whatever events have happened in our life and focus on them in such a way that we can allow that event to become something that we can find some part to be grateful for, and that's what we focus on. That's the part that we look at. And that's the part that then will set us free from the event, set us free from it, and it will allow us to move forward in a much better way so that we don't have to drag those heavy vibrations with us. We call that our baggage. We don't have to drag that baggage with us anymore. We can now be carried along, buoyed, and lifted up as we move forward by the gratitude for the outcome, the things we are grateful for in the outcome of that event. So when you want to raise your personal vibration, all you need to do is look at what is going on in your thoughts right now, what's going on in your body, what is your body sensations, what are they like right now, what is your belief that seems like it's current right now, what belief is running, that program is going right now, like you deserve it, you don't deserve it, you're not smart enough, you want to be, you're not pretty enough, you don't have enough money, whatever the belief is that may be running right now, and begin to adjust it. So if your finances are really tight and you're really struggling with something, find what it is that you can be grateful in your life for right now. Maybe it's the fact that you do have a place to live or you do have food to eat. Maybe it's the fact that you are gaining great independence and resources and skills and developing those as a way to survive right now. Maybe some of you are in some health challenges and you find that your health is such that you have concerns or worries about it, or maybe you even need to have someone assist you in life right now because of health issues. Even with that, you can find something that can make you grateful. Maybe you're now learning how you can begin to rely on others, or maybe you're learning how you can begin to dive deep inside yourself and find new resources to create joy in your life. Maybe you're learning how to develop new skills or talents or abilities that you wouldn't be doing if you were able to be out in the world more freely. Maybe you've just gone through the heartbreak of losing a loved one, or a relationship ending, or going through divorce, or having lost a job, or a whole variety of things. You already are very well informed about what you don't like about whatever event is going on in your life or has happened in your life. You already know what you don't like about it, because most of us have spent a lot of time and a lot of emotional energy focusing on what we don't like about what's taken place in our life. Instead now, if you can begin to focus on the benefit that can come from this, then you can move forward in a whole new way. I'll tell you a brief story of a friend of mine. He was very excited because his wife was pregnant and they were going to have twins. And he was just a very excited man. He already had two very fine little girls, and they were both, he and his wife were both so excited about the fact that she was now pregnant with twins. And a few months later, I saw him and asked how it was all going, and he said, the twins didn't make it, meaning the woman had miscarried. And he said, it took me a few minutes to really let that soak in. And then, what I realized? I'm going to have more time to give to my girls. And we're going to be able to do things in life with two girls right now that we wouldn't have been able to do if we had more children. I'll have more money to spend on my girls, and we can take different kinds of trips with two of them. And he began to name the things which were beneficial from a very tragic outcome in most people's view in his life. It was an unhappy experience for him. And yet it took him a few moments to allow that grief to really register and to move into his being and through. And then he focused on the benefit, or the things he could be grateful about. Because what had happened had already happened. There wasn't a thing he could do about the fact that his twins were no longer going to be joining his family. There was nothing he could do about that. And so what already was had happened. And so he was finding a way to come to peace with the fact that what happened in his life had already happened and it was done. And he wanted to move forward in his life in joy and in happiness and in gratitude. And so he found a way to do that. And this particular individual, that's how he lives his life. He moves forward with gratitude, and his goal is to meet each situation with great love and compassion and stay in that point of love and compassion through each situation. He's probably one of the happiest people I know. He is upbeat and joyful and able to look at life in a whole variety of new ways that have great joy. And he helps many, many hundreds of people do a similar thing. So that's just a brief example of we can find a way to move forward with gratitude. We can do that. And it's to our benefit to do that. And it's to our detriment to hold on to the unhappiness or the anger or the regret or the grief. It's to our detriment to hold on to that and drag that along with us for weeks or days or months or years or however long that we choose to do that. And there is a time of appropriate grieving. There is a time when we want to let that soak in and have the moment of really appreciating the being that was a part of our life, if someone, say, perhaps has passed away, or the way in which we were able to live our life, and now we aren't able to through loss of finances or health or a relationship. We have a moment of that where we kind of let that pass, and that can have some grief, and then we can move forward and focus into the future, into the now, and then into the future, bringing great joy into our lives, bringing great trust, bringing a focus into a place of gratitude and peace and harmony. And each one of us has the opportunity to do that in our lives. Now remember, the energy is at work. And we are helping, the energy is helping each individual to begin to look at your life, to begin to find the ways in which you can move forward at least a little bit. Now maybe if you haven't had much practice with this, maybe this is a big step. So maybe you'll be taking a very small step. Maybe you'll pick something that really was challenging, but it wasn't a huge challenge. And you can begin to look at that and find where you could find something to be grateful for, something that you could hold as the outcome that benefited your life. And this is a movement out of duality and into oneness. This is the movement that takes you away from the separation and into the benefit and the oneness of all activity comes to us to benefit our life. All experiences that we have come to us intended as a gift, give us the opportunity to raise our vibration even higher, to experience more and more joy, more gratitude, more freedom, more playfulness. So take the time in your life to begin to really look at things and find a new way to hold them. And I know it's a challenge. I know that. We have so focused on the things we don't like, and we have emotion going around it, and we have belief going with it, and we have conversation often about it, either in conversation in our heads or conversations with others about it. I know that we have created all of this, and I know also that the world around most of us is very supportive of how bad things are, or what a tragedy something is, or great grief and sadness, or how terrible something is that happened. I know that that's the focus of most of the people around most of us. We don't have the opportunities very often of being around those very uplifted and focused beings, excuse me, who are able to move forward in their life. So we get to be the way showers. We get to be the ones who can do that for ourselves and then begin to model it for others, So as we are ready to move forward and find gratitude and find something to appreciate from the events in our life, then it makes it easier for others to also see that, that's a possibility. We really can do that. We really can begin to change things in our life. And that's raising your personal vibration, which is expanding your consciousness, which is giving you greater conscious access to your connection with Source. And when we have greater conscious access to our connection with Source, then we feel more supported and more loved by the world around us. We feel more gratitude. We feel like we are divinely guided. We feel like life unfolds before us, and we begin to notice what's called miracles happening in our life. Miracles happening in our life because we are available to that. So when we begin to focus with gratitude, when we begin to have expectations of wonderful things in our life now and in the future, when we begin to appreciate what we have, when we begin to acknowledge things that come to us and have gratitude for that, and appreciation and recognition of it, of the wonder of it, the magnificence of it, then we begin to notice the miracles taking place around us, and synchronicities begin to happen more and more often, and we notice them. That's the difference. In the past, perhaps miracles or synchronicities might have happened in our lives, and we might just think we were lucky, or perhaps we don't really notice that it happened. Maybe we notice it in passing, but we don't pay a lot of attention to it. Well, with this new focus, we really begin to notice the amazing things happening all around us in our life, the amazing things taking place all around us in our lives, in the ways that perhaps even a stranger smiles at us, or we notice we have a little bit more in our checking account than we thought we did, or maybe we get to have a meal with a friend and enjoy some good companionship and some good friendship. We begin to notice these things and appreciate them as the real miracles that they are in our lives. And as we notice one miracle, then even a bigger one begins to come in. And as we notice the tiny ones, then we get to have more and more of this going on in our lives, ongoing. And life becomes amazing. Life becomes absolutely amazing as we begin to focus on the wonder in life instead of on the frustrations of life. I had something that happened to me quite a few years ago when I was teaching high school many years ago, and I realized as I was driving home from work one day that I was kind of reviewing the day, and I was reviewing it in such a way as noticing the things that had been challenging, the difficult moments with the students or with an administrator, and the things that have been challenging. And I was kind of reviewing my day, noticing those highlights. And that was what I was going to be meeting a friend for dinner, and I was going to be sharing about my day. And I suddenly stopped and I went, this is amazing. Why am I collecting all of these kind of frustrating or challenging or difficult moments of my day to share with a friend over dinner? Why am I doing this? Why don't I collect the wonderful moments of this day? Why don't I share the magnificent time that I had with a student or with an administrator, or something wonderful I saw driving to work or coming home, or noticed someplace? Why don't I share that instead? And it really made me pause for a little bit and wonder, where did I learn to collect the unpleasant things of life to share with others when I saw them at dinner time, or if I went out in the evening to meet with friends? Where did I learn to do that? And I really don't know. I really don't know where that came from. Perhaps that just seemed to be what people do or did. And in that moment, I made a choice. And my choice was, from now on, I'm going to start collecting the wonderful things that happened during my day. I'm going to start remembering those. I'm going to start noticing those. And those are going to be what I talk about over dinner. That's going to be what I share with a friend if I meet them somewhere. That's what I'm going to focus on. And it was a simple awareness and a new choice. That's all it took. That's all it took. A simple awareness and a new choice. And each one of us can do that. And my life changed dramatically from that. I started enjoying my teaching job more. I started feeling happier. I realized that by the end of the day, I had more energy left to do things that I really enjoyed doing. So my life really began to change simply by shifting my focus a little bit. And I would suggest that perhaps you might want to also consider taking a look at what is it that you are highlighting in your day. You know how when we read, sometimes we have a yellow highlighter and we highlight things on a page or in a chapter that are really important pieces of information to us? Well, what is it that you're highlighting during your day as the things that you're going to remember and hold on to? What are you doing in that area? And if it is something like what I used to do, you might want to consider about a new focus, making a change, having a new way of doing something. And, you know, those around you, you can also begin to model that to those around you. So at work, you can be talking about the good things about the job and the things that you like and the nice event that happened with a coworker, or how someone picked up some slack for you, or how they were there to help you out. You know, you might want to see what you can do to start shifting things right there at your own workplace or in your own home. Or if you have the great blessing of having young children with you, the ways in which they begin to focus on their days and the things that they start to talk about. And so we can begin to raise our own vibration. We can change our own lives. Now remember, the energy is flowing right now, and it is assisting anyone who wants assistance in beginning to make these changes, into raising your vibration higher, into focusing a little bit differently on your life and the events of your life, and begin to carry things in your life differently in your memory. And when it's in our memory, it's also then in our physical body. And those memories and thoughts that we have in our mind create the stress or the comfort in our physical body. So we are doing ourselves a great favor if we can begin to shift our focus from what might be unhappy in our day to what could be a very pleasant thing that happened in our day. And in that way, we are reducing the stress in our lives, and we are improving our health. In fact, I just read something. My goodness, what was it? Oh, I wish I could pull up the exact facts. I'm unable to. However, it was a study that was done about people that laugh. And it was something like that people who laugh have 70% less disorders, disease, unhappiness physically going on in their body than those people who laugh less. So the more humor you can find in your life. Norman Cousins is a great example of that. I love to mention him. He's an MD, and he was diagnosed with a disease. I believe it was cancer, terminal. And he decided that he was going to start bringing more joy into his life and started playing old movies and laughing as much as he could, as often as he could in life. And the amazing thing is, his disease went away. It was called complete remission, which is the word that the medical profession has when something goes away and it's unexplainable. We might call it a miracle. The medical profession might call it remission, meaning it's gone right now, but it may come back. Anyway, he did that with laughter, with humor, with joy, with happiness. And because when we have joy and happiness and gratitude, then our body has less stress in it. And we are creating a body that is alkaline instead of acid. So our thoughts are toxic to us. If they are unhappy thoughts, they are toxic thoughts because they create an acidic environment in our physical body. And if we want to have a healthy body, we need to have an alkaline environment. So we need to be right at the proper level of alkalinity in our bodies. And to do that, we need to do that with our thoughts. And we can do that with our thoughts. So if we can laugh more, be happier, find more reasons to be grateful, begin to focus on the things in life that bring us joy, we can create greater health in our physical being. So those of us that may have challenges in our health, if we can begin to be hopeful about a magnificent outcome for our health, begin to know and trust the process of the body to heal itself. By the way, the body is designed to live forever, basically, because each cell is able to duplicate itself. So the body is designed to go on and live forever, perfectly functioning. And it's the interference that happens primarily through our thoughts. I mean, we also have environmental toxicity, but I would say that our emotions are probably the 70% that influences our health, and the environment is a smaller percentage of the influence. So we have great control over the health of our physical being by our level of optimism and joy and hopefulness and compassion and forgiveness and laughter and humor and love and patience and peace. We can shift the health in our body. We can do that. Each one of us has the ability to take that on and change it. So we have to begin to raise our vibration, ourself, up out of victim and out of the unhappiness and stresses of life and into something more joyful, into something more in charge of our life, into something more trusting, and into something more empowered in our life. And we can do that. We can. I mean, it's our birthright. Our body is created in such a way that our mind can do that with our body. And so when we go through a difficult situation in life, we want to resolve it as quickly as possible. We want to bring it back into a point of peace and harmony and gratitude as quickly as possible because, first of all, our life will be more joyful, and secondly, our body can stay more healthy. And medical science is now really making inroads into all of this kind of information and beginning to discover that. Those people who are in quantum energetic disciplines, the training program, they learned that many years ago. The emotions that we are experiencing and the events that we've gone through in life are influencing what's going on right now in our being. And it was a great eye-opener to me a number of years ago when I first started offering sessions, and I began to realize that it seemed like there had been some kind of a difficult situation in a person's life before they started having symptoms on a physical level. And it was amazing to me to make that connection just from doing sessions with people and then discovering that energy work can clear. It can clear the emotional content that is there from the experience that took place. And as that emotional content then is cleared through the energy work, the body then is able to restore itself. The body restores itself as soon as we get that interference from our mind and our beliefs cleared out of the way. So it's a phenomenal opportunity that we all have to create our consciousness in a way that serves our body. And then our body can be strong and vital and healthy and support our consciousness to continue to grow. So it's a wonderful hand-in-hand movement through life. So it's a great reason then to really begin to want to change your consciousness, to really want to begin to look at life differently, to really put the focus and the energy and the time into beginning to shift who we are in our internal kingdom, meaning in our thoughts, in our beliefs, in our reactions and responses to the events around us. If something happens and we can stay peaceful, or we can begin to laugh and see humor in life, then we can begin to have our life in a much more joyful way, and our body can stay much healthier and stronger. And it can be amazing the kinds of changes that take place. Many people have discovered how rapidly they can recover from something when they have an optimistic attitude, or when they have great joy in their life and people around them that they just really love to be around. The recovery period is much faster from all kinds of things. And there's a great number of studies done on this that indicate that the body can heal itself much faster when we have that kind of joyful, loving, happy support all around us. Then the body has what it needs in terms of the alkaline components and the biochemistry to really restore itself. And yes, I really know that nutrition is important, and the environment that we live in is important, and all of those things contribute. And yet our mind is probably the major piece in all of it. And we're beginning to notice this. We're beginning to know this through The Secret and the power of the laws of attraction and those kinds of ideas about manifesting and creating reality. As we are becoming more conscious of this, of these abilities, this skill that we have in which we do create things around us, as we become more conscious of it, we are becoming more aware of the power of the mind and the great divine power that our mind has to really create a magnificent life. And most of us have had almost no training in how to begin to manage our mind, how to begin to direct our thinking, how to begin to create the internal experience that we would like to have, how to begin to live life in a very centered, peaceful, harmonious place. Most of us have had very little training in that, very little information about it. What we do have, we might have picked up from some books, perhaps. We might have also seen it modeled. If we were very fortunate, we might have seen it modeled in our families when we were children, or perhaps in a friend or a authority figure around us. We might have had that. However, we never in school, as far as I'm aware, have received the level of training that we give the mind in so many other areas. We train the mind in language and science and math and humanities and history and all kinds of things we train the mind in. And yet this whole area, this entire arena of life, which is really what life is about, which is really what's creating the life that we have and is really what we could use to create the life we want to have, this whole arena has had so little attention. And it's time now that each one of us fill in that gap. It's time for each one of us to become the mature adult, to become the wise teacher, to become the grounded, competent being, and take on that role of training ourselves, of how to deal with our mind and how to use the mind as the magnificent tool that it's intended to be, and how to begin to allow the mind to float quietly and silently in peace, peacefully, until it's needed. And when it's needed, how to get the mind to focus at the very highest levels, at the very highest frequencies, at the highest levels of thought and gratitude and compassion and awareness and inclusion, all of those things. How do we do that? And it's time for each one of us to start to explore that for ourselves, explore the ways in which we can make that kind of a difference in our own lives, because we need that. We need it right now, and we needed it years ago, certainly years ago, and we need it right now, and we're certainly going to need it in the future. And we really want to be in a place when we are called upon to step forward into our magnificence, into this great role that is here for each one of us, into the moments of awakening. We want to have the skills built to do that easily. gracefully, staying balanced and grounded. And we want to have the skills of our mind and the ways in which we focus our thoughts and the ways in which we know how to quiet the mind. We want to have that all in place so that we can stay balanced and move forward, and we can assist those around us to stay balanced and move forward as well. Because we all have loved ones in our life. And those loved ones are important to us. And so in order to be able to assist them, if they haven't developed these skills yet, and we have, then we can assist them. We can give them a higher vision. We can give them information that will uplift their spirits. We can give them a focus that will help direct their thoughts. And we can do that. And certainly we can begin doing that for ourselves now. And we can begin doing that for those around us as much as it is appropriate to do. Because if you have children, you have great permission to assist them in their lives. If you are an adult around other adults, then we can best teach by model, by doing it ourselves. And when someone asks, how is it that you stay so peaceful, or how is it that you're able to go through this experience you just went through and still be functional and still be able to move forward in life, then when they ask, you can begin to share a little bit, talk a little bit about what your experience has been, and begin to offer pieces of information. We all have discovered how difficult and actually impossible in many situations it is to give people a new idea if they aren't ready for it. Because if someone is really in victim and that's where they want to be, that's where they're going to be. And any suggestions you might make will be counterproductive. They aren't ready for it yet. However, you can be sure that you stay ready and that you take care of your own life as you discover the moments in which you might be slipping into victim or tempted to walk that path. And as people begin to ask you questions or begin to show that they have an openness or an interest or availability to a little piece of information, then you can begin to offer that. And we generally offer it in small doses. I know that when we just have discovered something new and we're very excited about it and somebody gives us the slightest little opening or no opening at all, we want to just download the whole piece of information. I know that that's our enthusiasm and what we'd love to do. And the wisdom really is to wait until there really is an opening, wait until there is an inquiry, and then share a little piece of it. Just share a little piece of it. Let that settle in. Let them chew on that for a little while so that they can become familiar with it. Let them try it out in their life before you give them all of the information. It would be overwhelming for someone to sit down with many of us and hear the whole view of life and how life works. Little pieces generally can be integrated more easily into the personality in little pieces. And use your own judgment, use your own knowing. You'll know the moment and you'll know the opportunity, and take advantage of that and share your wisdom, share your love, share your compassion. If someone inquires, share a suggestion about what they might try. Be available to be the teacher. Be available to be the teacher. Don't put yourself up in front as the lecturer if there aren't those who really want to hear it, and be available for those who would like to hear it. So we have a real opportunity here in life, one of great transformation and a great opportunity to expand our consciousness and begin to really look at life in a new way, and begin to build the life that we'd like to have in a new way. And we can do that by beginning to go back in life and review the points which have been difficult for us and refocus and find a point of gratitude from those experiences, and a point in which you can, a place from which you can hold that experience differently, begin to look at it differently. And then each day we can try to stay current, do our best to stay current with what's going on so that we can begin to collect the wonderful things of each day, the good things of each day, so we can keep our body more relaxed and comfortable. And then we can begin to move forward into actually watching what's going on in our mind and in our thoughts on a more moment-to-moment or minute-to-minute or hour-to-hour, however it works for you, basis, so that we can then build what we'd like to create in life and bring in more joy, more happiness, more humor, more playfulness. Stop taking life so seriously. Stop allowing it to hurt us personally. So we take things personally. It hurts our feelings personally. And begin to let things roll off of you a little bit more. And remember, the energy is at work, assisting each one of us in these ways. So we can really begin to take charge of our own consciousness, transforming our life, and really beginning to create the life that we want to have. So my love to each one of you. It's been a joy being together again. Wherever you are in the world, I send great love to you right now, those who are getting up in the middle of the night and those who are watching the sunrise or the sunset or wherever you are and whatever time of the day it is. My love to you, and may your life change in magnificent ways. All right. We'll be together again. Bye for now.